J.C. Newman Cigar Studios in Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Smokin Nicole.
And good evening to our East Coast viewers. We're on the West Coast right now, so good afternoon to everyone else. But welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show, live from Las Vegas, Nevada, in our hotel room at Resorts World Las Vegas.
This is going to be a weird show already. So
well, we've done this before. I mean, it's not the first time.
I know.
We did this for PCA last year. We talked about doing this show from the convention center, but the Wi-Fi down there is horrendous, and they want to charge you $150 for a Wi-Fi upgrade.
3-day pass.
3-day pass for Wi-Fi upgrade. And I know a few people who did that and said that the Wi-Fi still sucked. And I said, you know what? I'd rather just do it from the comfortability of my own hotel room.
And they have way better Wi-Fi here that's free. The media booth anyway, where we would have gone live on the floor, sort of tiny, loud, and just that stability of internet. So sorry guys.
Anyone who's ever been to any trade show, doesn't have to be cigar, any kind of, convention, trade show, you know how it is. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of noise, a lot of moving around. It's like, I was just like, let's just do this from our hotel room. It'd be a lot better.
It's so peaceful.
But with that said, we are at TPE here in Las Vegas. After the first 2 days, we've seen a lot, and there's a lot of interesting things on display on the trade show floor. It's not quite like PCA. Obviously, it's tobacco plus expo, the plus being non-actual tobacco stuff. Like there's vapes and CBD and hemp. There's blunt wraps for marijuana. All sorts of stuff, and the hookah, shisha, tobacco.
So the floor is absolutely huge, but
Massive.
There is a cigar only section, which actually is shockingly smaller than I feel like all of the other tobacco products that are out there.
So if you look at the trade show floor and you look at the map, it's color coded, and the cigars are just like this little red square, like just this, and then imagine like this is the cigar area. And there's probably like 60-something manufacturers, right? And then you have this, and this is everybody else. And cigars are just right here. And still there's a lot of cigar people in that little square.
Yeah.
So you could just imagine just how many there's probably
Let's not give a count.
Hundreds and hundreds of other vendors too. I mean, so there's a lot of people around too. And it's like you go to PCA, you're all in the same pond with all your like-minded fish.
PCA is just cigar manufacturers.
Yeah, going to TPE is like going in the ocean with like the fish and the sharks and the whales and the crabs and the lobsters. Like there's all you all kind of live in the same ecosystem, but you're all very different species. So there's a lot going on, and there's just a lot of different traffic filtering through and in and out. So
for those of you listening, if you have any questions about the trade show in general, excuse me. So tired right now. Please shoot them in the comments and we'll try to get to them. Just if there's anything you want to know, we'd love to hear that. But anyway.
Absolutely. What I was going to say was, the first day of the trade show, it was just kind of right out of the gate. It was just slammed fast. Booths were packed. The show started later in the day, so it didn't start till around noontime. I think media, we came early, 10:30, 11 o'clock, but the rest of
it was 11:30.
Yeah.
I believe it started for everyone. Media is allowed in an hour earlier every single day.
Right.
So we got there right at 10:30.
So basically, right out of the gate, it was packed. It was busy. You have those people, the media people trying to grab what they can before everyone else comes in, and everyone's kind of tied up. So today it started earlier at its regular time. So longer show day. We definitely met with more people today. Yesterday was just such a mess to me. Today was a little easier, still busy. I anticipate tomorrow being a lot more relaxed. It's the final day.
And for those of you just following us, again, we were trying to set up in the same way that we did PCA, which was every few hours we get our videos uploaded ASAP. But again, the stability of that internet on the trade show floor prevented us from doing that. So we were able to get yesterday's interviews up if you missed them on YouTube. So they were up last night. And then today, probably in the next few hours, we'll begin uploading. But again, these things take time. The videos we try to do them in 4K, so it's a large size file. But today we'll have a bunch more interviews up for you.
So we have a few questions already filtering.
Yep.
Joe Reese wants to know free swag. It's not really like that kind of show for us. The CBD and the vape and all those people, they were handing out bags of goodies and stuff.
Blunt wraps.
Yeah, they were handing stuff out. Cigar. When you go to a cigar trade show, especially when it's a trade, it's an industry show. There's samples that go out of new products. They want people to try it and all this, but not really a lot of like free swag. They're not like T-shirts and accessories or just little things and trinkets. Yeah. No, not a lot of that stuff. It's really not that kind of show.
At least not from the cigar side of it.
Right.
As you know, like cigars aren't cheap to make, so for them to just be giving those away like in bags or anything, that doesn't happen. But what does happen is obviously they have a supply at a lot of the booths. For the actual retailers who are going there to buy, those cigar manufacturers do hand out samples. Of course, people aren't going to buy it for their shop if they're not handed a sample and they can't try, certain things. So, but we personally, we don't like to go and just ask if we're offered. Hell yeah, we'll take a cigar. But as media, we're there to just interview and also not impede on business. And so, if it's great, but in all honesty, I feel like it's rude when we don't ask, but it's nice.
The thing with samples too, they'll hand them to you. They'll be, hey, you guys want a cigar? Sure.
Yeah.
But there's no trick or treating. That's just.
And a lot of them misconception too that they have like everything they offer. That's not always true. Some manufacturers, they literally only have samples of like one thing. It could be just their newest thing. They don't just have like this huge variety. So it depends on the situation.
Our next question comes from Anthony James. Was it really worth it based on your time and money spent? Yeah. It is, especially for us. It's always worth it. We get to be in the booth with the product and with, the owners, the reps, and everyone's together with all of their resources and all of their stuff to show. Yeah. We get to talk to them, see the stuff firsthand, talk about it, ask the questions, get it all recorded for you guys so that you guys can hear what's going on. So you guys get to see what we're seeing on the trade show floor instead of just reading about it after, which, we still put out, but, it's always worth it. It's always worth it. There's so much we gain from these trade shows. So, anyone who's like us doing what we're doing, it's of course. And in fact, there's a few media people who did not make the trip. And after today, I was talking with them, and they had said, you know what? I regret not going.
And that was actually how we felt last year. So we decided not to go to TPE last year. One, because they had pushed it, so it was, I believe, within a month of the PCA convention. So we didn't want to make that trip, 2 trips, too soon, so to speak. And the time, though, and actually coming here, talking to people, absolutely worth it. Just, for the content, for the connections. It's so nice to see people. Money spent is a tricky one. We actually were sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate is, fabulous. So if you see the covers on all of our videos, it says brought to you by Drew Estate. So actually we didn't spend money to come out here, so that makes it a little bit better. We're able to do this and just create the content, which is great. So,
so in terms of what we saw on the trade show floor, right out of the gate, the first company that comes to mind is United. They've had such a great year last year. They're going to have a great year this year. They've already announced several projects that they're working on in the first few weeks of this year, and there's still more to come.
And on that note, you'll see it in the video a little bit later, but their release of the Big Poppy firecracker is very exciting. That was one of the first things that we saw at the trade show.
There is a box on display, so we did get to see it.
Yep.
Before it's really been out. It was just announced this week. The story went out on SmokinTabacco.com for those of you who missed it. There's also a Bandolero firecracker that they're doing. That's not on display. When we asked Oliver about it, he hasn't just gotten them yet, so they weren't available to see. But everything else that they have announced is on that trade show floor, and we did see it. And there will be photos of it, and it's in the videos too. So actually, the United interview is up. So you actually can see that one. I think I shared it on social media. It is also on our YouTube channel. So you can actually watch that now. That is available. Great stuff from United. They're doing a fantastic job. They're really killing it.
But But the general vibe too is I'd say it's pretty split between new releases and then also just companies that don't have anything new at the moment. So not everything, or I should say everyone, has everything new that is debuting at TPE. So
That's true. Yeah, there's not a ton of new stuff.
yeah.
But it was nice to get with people and just kind of check in and hear like
Yeah.
what their plan is for when they have new stuff. We talked to a bunch of people who said, we don't have anything new here. We're just here, working with customers and stuff like that. But we are, and it's kind of that whole they're trying to watch what they say. But we have some things we're
Stuff in the
working on,
works.
and hopefully it's out for PCA. So then, PCA is going to be all right, well, we saw you at
Yeah.
TPE. You said you're working on something. What do you have? And
Yeah.
it'll be kind of that like, all right, this is it, or well, it didn't really pan out. So
And part of it too, I feel like, is just people they watch what they say with us because we're media, so they're afraid that like we're gonna like
yeah, it was funny.
before they make a professional release for it that we're gonna like spill the beans.
I was
so.
talking to one manufacturer and he was being very careful with this project he had coming up, and then
Yeah.
somebody else who works with him was like, oh yeah, he's coming out with this, and I was like, oh. And when I said, I go, oh, I heard that, and he's like, oh yeah, well, I can't say too much else. So, but yeah, you know how they don't want to let their secret out of the bag until they're
Especially
absolutely
not
ready.
to us.
Yeah,
like of all people. So.
and I try, if they tell me something in confidence, I try to keep that, because the last thing I want to do is, have a reputation of spilling secrets,
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all working on something. They're always working on something.
And as a consumer, so for those of you watching, I would be more excited for PCA this year. So many people have not even just one new thing coming out that they're expecting to showcase, but multiple. There are a lot of brands that they were like, we have 1, 2, or 3 releases just for PCA.
We finished off our day today with Placencia, who showed us the Year of the Tiger, as well as the Cosecha 149.
Yep.
And then we were told, and that video will be up shortly, but we met with Wayne Clark, and he was telling us it's going to be a great year, probably the best year ever. Look forward to a lot of things coming. So, I anticipate that PCA will be even bigger for them. And then you look at someone like Christoph, who I love very much. They're a great brand.
Yep.
Jared Trudeau and John Fozzie were up in that booth down there. Great people, all their stuff on display. Nothing new to show. No real plans to do anything new. Their focus is more on let's just get all of our orders out. Let's work on any back orders we have. We're at the show. We're here. We're shaking the hands. We're kissing babies. We're making everything great. Making sure our customers have what they need. We communicate with them. We hear their concerns. Just no new projects. They don't want to overload themselves. They don't want to move too far too fast. They really have a good handle on their business model, and for that, they don't really have any major struggles. They seem to be doing okay because they're really just pacing themselves with what they have. So everyone's gonna run their business a little differently, which is again, and that's fine. Everyone has different goals in the way that their business runs. So you're going to see stuff like that from people like Christoph. You're going to see people like Placencia, who have a little bit of new stuff, and they have plans to do more big stuff. People like United, who are just on an absolute roll right now.
They are.
So
much.
Oliver and everyone over at United. I mean, they're crushing it right now. Casa Cuevas we met with earlier too.
Yep.
They're showing off the Flaco line, and we were talking to Alec Cuevas, who did tease to us that there is a new project coming that'll hopefully be available at PCA. I don't want to say
we don't want to give too much away
more
with that,
because I don't think they're ready to really announce too many details, but there is something that they're working on that they hope to be ready by PCA.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say.
But that was the rhetoric with so many different people, like even Dissident when we were talking to Sin yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. We met with her.
Yep.
She's not exhibiting, but she's here, so we were able to talk to her. She was on with us last week, but being able to talk to her, they have their limited edition that they're working on for PCA, which they already told us. But and they have some more things, but she's still really tight-lipped about it. So I feel like right now, even if people don't have anything new that they're showing, they're kind of just making this little whisper of like, we got something coming. Can't tell you anything, but there's something coming.
Yeah.
That's like the general vibe here of, hey, it's a new year. We did stuff last year, maybe we didn't, but like we're trying to get it ready for PCA.
But on the topic of new releases, I mean, there have been some, right? So there's the Acid, the new Acid one from Drew Estate.
Well,
That's
Drew
out.
Estate was there's a lot of content we got with them. Obviously,
Yeah.
we gave them Cigar of the Year for Underground Tintoro.
Yep.
Every cigar that Drew Estate makes, from the hardest to find Liga Privadas to every flavor of Acid to the new 20 Acre Farm, the new Acid 20 Connecticut, it's all there. It's all on display.
In their booth, just so you know, the largest of this trade show. Beautiful booth that's tiered. We took a lot of photos. We were actually we were able to get to the top tier of the booth, which was kind of cool. Not a lot of media actually got into that, if at any. So we were able to get in, which was awesome. But we'll showcase photos of that display because they had the booth. I feel like PCA last year, JC Newman was the booth to see, right? Big booth. They did, at PCA they had I don't want to say duplicate, but they had a cardboard made structure of their the factory.
It was like a scale model made out of cardboard, but
Yeah.
it looked like the detail on it was just absolutely
So
amazing.
they were the booth of PCA. The booth of TPE was Drew Estate, hands down.
Yeah, I mean they got the DJ playing the music like they always have at PCA and IPCPR and RTTDA. They got the second tier, the balcony up at the top of the booth, which is very heavily guarded. It's not easy to get up there.
And it'll make sense once once we post the interview and the adjoining photos today. One thing too for those of you listening, so we're trying to get the interviews up every night. So after we actually end this broadcast, we'll go ahead and start uploading the videos from today. But actually after, I would say, the trade show, so tomorrow's the last day. After that, we'll start posting the pictures that we actually took of the booths and of the show floor, so you can really get a better sense of it. A lot of our videos are just in front of their main stand or structure that has the cigar boxes on display. But we are also going around at the same time taking photos of a lot of different things. So stay tuned for that as well, because that'll give you even more of just an inside look of the show floor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely still a lot to see. I mean, we're gonna really hit it light right now because there's so much stuff we haven't even begun to unload.
And we're tired.
Yeah, it's
let's just
last
about
night too.
that.
One of the other things, we had the industry party last night at the Sahara, which was insane. They had this cover band there that was better than most actual bands I've ever seen.
Yep.
That's probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot of them. That was wow. There was so much energy there. We were right in the front row. They played everything. They were supposed to be done at 9, but they came on for another 45 minutes.
Yep.
And I mean, we were some of the last people there. There was a lot of us still there, but there was it was just crazy. They finished playing with Rage Against the Machine, which was epic.
But yeah, so and just for viewers at home, the industry party is the only sort of PM hosted event during this 3 days, and that was supposed to go 6 to 9 last night, but
Went a little longer.
it went a little longer, and obviously there are other things going on, but that's the only event sort of tied to the show, and that event was sponsored by Drew Estate as well. So there were big signs everywhere, and I'm sure if you're following a lot of people on social media, you saw their stories. It was outside at the Sahara pool.
Mm-hmm.
There was that live band. People were posting everything. That was their chance to sort of unwind from the first day of the show. But it's very tiring, and we're in Vegas, so people are staying up late.
Yeah, it's these trade show weeks are exhausting. You have the show, you have back to your room, get your content, kind of downloaded, uploaded, change, shower. You got to go eat something. Then you got to go out and you're smoking with everyone. You're out all night. You get back to your room, you get in bed, you wake up, and you got to do it again early in the morning. So it is tiring, but it's packed, and it's a couple of days of all this just crammed together. Also, these trade shows, it's the only few times a year where not everybody, but most of the industry is all together. So you're trying to catch up with everyone and see what everyone's doing, and then just try to hang out, and it's exhausting because you're well, I got to take advantage of this time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely tiring, especially last night. That industry party was a lot of energy. I'm still burnt out from that. So
some people were going hard. I mean, we were hanging out with other media people. How about that?
Matt and Garrett, how about that cigar? I mean, Garrett's been sober for a long time now, so I mean, he had nothing but just,
pure energy.
Just pure energy. There was no alcohol influence, but if you saw him, you'd be like, that dude's shit-faced.
No.
No, he's not. He's just high on life. He's just having a great time. You gotta love it. So yeah, I mean, it's always fun. It's a great time. It's definitely worth the trip. We get to do stuff like this, which is so awesome. We do have news for this week.
Yep.
We got some FDA news. I'll let Nicole lead us into that.
Yeah, so welcome to Cigar Industry News, brought to you by McAuliffe Cigars. Just so you know, this is the final week to fill out your McAuliffe bracket for McAuliffe Madness. So head on over to www.mcauliffe.cigars.com. They still have the bracket information up there. I believe the cutoff date today is the 27th. It is the 29th, so you have about like 2 more days. But yeah, fill it out. Take advantage of that. You can win great prizes if your bracket is the most accurate. So go ahead and participate.
Absolutely. This week's news story, the FDA says update about proposed flavored cigar rules on track for spring 2022. The United States Food and Drug Administration says it's on track to deliver an update about its plans to restrict the sale of certain types of flavored cigars this spring. FDA announced the plans for bans on characterizing flavors in tobacco products last year after a federal lawsuit forced the agency to publicly take a position on banning characterizing flavors. In a blog post, Mitch Zeller, the head of the FDA Center for Tobacco Products, says the agency will give an update outlining its plans for this spring.
All right. I mean, that's some traction. I mean, they've been saying they were going to do this for a long time. So,
it's just another one of those things that I like to bring up this stuff just to keep people informed, because I know it's not glamorous, I know it's not fancy, but you got to stay on top of this FDA thing,
because it can really impact everything.
Yeah, I mean, you don't pay attention to it. It sneaks up on you, and no one gets their voice behind it to fight against it. And then all of a sudden, bam, these laws go into effect, and the cigars that you really like to smoke, all of a sudden they start to disappear. So, if you don't want that to happen, you got to pay attention to the stuff and really focus on it and listen. So let's so check that out. Keep tabs on that. There'll be more coming out on that, I'm sure, as time goes on, in the spring, like it said. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens at that point, with that information and what they come out with. So definitely good information to stay on top of. Once again, so there's no guests this week, so it's just us, which we rarely do. Not that we don't want to. It's just there's always people who want to come on the show all the time. So
we're also boring, guys. Just us when it's just us.
No, I mean not necessarily, but
Sometimes.
there's always someone who wants to come on and hang out. So, but yeah, no, it was just easier not to have anyone with us. We will be on with Cigar Coop after this show. For a brief period, he wants to ask us some questions about kind of what's going on at the trade show. He didn't make the trip, unfortunately. So we're gonna give him a little like a field reporting of kind of what's going on.
We are his field reporters.
Yeah, for Cigar Coop, we're sharing our information with the Cigar Coop company. So, but that's fine, because Coop's been good to me, and I'll give him the information that he needs. So be sure to look over at Cigar Coop after we're done a little later today. Actually, he might have given me a time. Let me see if he gave me a time. Around 8:30ish my time. All right, cool. So around 8:30ish, we'll get with him. That's just under an hour from now, I think. Yep. What's the time exchange? That's 7:30. Yeah, so just about under an hour.
Yeah.
We'll get with Coop, and we'll talk to him and answer some of his questions that he has.
And also, let's just take a minute too. So as much we will have a ton more. I can't even talk, guys. Seriously, I am chugging Red Bull. I don't even like Red Bull, but this is the amount of energy that we need, I feel like, from literally running around the show floor all day. But I just wanted to talk about other events and things that we have coming up. So we do have more videos that are coming up tonight. We'll have more videos coming up tomorrow. We will have those photos and blog posts, just like I said, so that you can get a better feel of the actual show floor outside of our interviews. Today we did some great interviews. I can't name everyone. Honestly, it's like a blur at this point. But Jonathan Drew was huge. We were able to get Jonathan.
Yeah,
Drew.
that's a big one.
Yep.
Jonathan Drew doesn't give a lot of interviews to people. We were fortunate enough to to get screen time with Jonathan and get some photos and some video and have some private conversations with him.
Yep.
And hang out. So we wanted to thank that, and not only him, but I want to thank all of the Drew Estate team, Joe Groh, Jack Hare. They were really great to us. You know, we got time with Pedro Gomez from Drew Estate too. So there's a video interview with him. So there's a lot of Drew Estate content that we got.
Yep.
You know, they did get Cigar of the Year, so I think they were definitely, you know, just really excited about that too. So I want to thank everyone at Drew Estate. I really do, because they were so kind to us. Their booth is big, but they're so packed. Everyone there over at Drew Estate was running around. There were meetings with people, sitting down with people. In fact, they took so much time that they did just for us. It was amazing. So really, thank you to the Drew Estate team. They've done nothing but be great to us and help us. I can't stress that enough. We really appreciate that. So thank you to Drew Estate.
But on top of that, so just other things that we have going on. So outside of TPE and, you know, what we just talked about, getting up and releasing, on Monday night we are doing a special show with Luxury Cigar Club. What time is that again? That is
I'm so sorry, I wasn't prepared for this.
That's okay. And we're gonna specifically be talking about their release of Johnny Tobacco Not.
Johnny Tobacco Not.
Tobacco. Okay, sorry.
I want to say all right, so
I said toe. He's making fun of me. I don't like it.
I like to make fun of the way she pronounces words sometimes. So my calendar, I think I have this in for East Coast time, but it auto shifted to West Coast time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do like the.
I think it's 6:45.
I think it is. I think it's like 6. I think no, 7 o'clock. We'll be live at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
I think it's our standard 7 o'clock time.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be with Ben and Matt Booth.
Yep.
And we're gonna talk about the Johnny Tobacco Knot and some other. I think don't quote me on it. I think there might be some other stuff that they might talk about that they're working on.
Yeah.
We met up with them earlier. I met up with Ben earlier. I was talking to Matt yesterday, but I was talking to Ben about this specifically. I think there might be some things that they might bring up that are kind of new, but I'm not 100% sure.
We haven't had Luxury Cigar Club on our show yet, so this will be great just for those of you who might not be aware of Luxury Cigar Club. It'll be good just to kind of tune in, get to know their story as well. So that'll be great. But also, next week's show is probably going to be a more in-depth recap of this week at TPE. We might have John Carney on, perhaps to kind of chime in on some of the new releases, but we'll see on that. So no guest next week.
No, there is a guest.
Who's next week then?
Next week is Pete Johnson from Tatuaje.
Why is it on our calendar?
It's right here.
Okay, well, never mind. So we have Pete Johnson, who will
so there is a guest. There is Pete Johnson next Thursday from Tatuaje.
And then after that, we have Charlie Minato on the show. We have Juan Lopez from Gurkha. And then after that, we're already going to be at the Great Smoke. So that'll be huge. So
I don't know if there's even going to be a show that week, to be honest, because I think Thursday is our travel day.
Yep.
And I don't know if there will be a show that week. You'll have to stand by for that. We haven't really figured that out yet. But when we get back from the Great Smoke, we will be with Wayne, who we met with today from Placencia, Glenn Case from Christoph. So the list goes on and on. There's a lot of really fun people coming on with us, so we're really excited to have them.
And just at this point, you guys, we are booked out all the way through May, so we have guests every week for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. It's busy. We're busy in general as a whole. This trade show week's really busy. There's so much stuff out there. There's so much going on. So. And, we'll be a Great Smoke, PCA. I think we're going to the McAuliffe Open House for our McAuliffe friends.
Yes.
So we'll be down in Texas in September.
For the McAuliffe people, we are going to Dallas. McAuliffe Open House, year 2.
And then we have a couple other trips that I'm not going to talk about publicly yet because we haven't really finalized the logistics behind it. But there will be some factory tours that we will be showing you guys a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff from.
Smokin Tabacco is going international.
We are. We will be traveling internationally to a handful of factories, really big-name factories too. So just
sit tight.
Sit tight because that information is coming, and we'll get it as soon as it's finalized.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah.
Really, I mean that's what I got at this point. It's going to be an exciting year for us. It's going to be an exciting year for the manufacturers. Sorry.
That's
Just kind of for the whole industry. It's going to be a very busy year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on. The only downside to it, which I will bring up, and I'm not going to mention any specific manufacturers, but talking with, I would say a solid handful of manufacturers, just kind of casually out in the open. What I'm hearing is there is a concern that 2022 also could be a rough year for supply. The troubles that these manufacturers were facing in 2020 and 2021, some people are very concerned that it could amplify into 2022, and there's going to be like this bleed-through effect, where some back orders could just, domino into the next year. Vintage tobaccos and crops and raw material, that was impacted over the last few years. It will slow down the production for stuff that was supposed to come out this year because, there's some factories that lost crop to storms. There's some factories that lost crop to fires. There's other manufacturers, other various reasons why there's tobacco shortages with certain types of tobaccos, which in those cases you don't always feel that right away. It's usually a few years down the line for when, those cigars would actually finally make it to market. You're going to see that ripple effect finally show where, oh, hey, we don't have as many cigars this year because 2 years ago we lost a crop. Or, hey, we couldn't get tobacco last year to make cigars and age them, so now we have nothing to put out this year. So just as a fair warning, you will see some of that from some brands that you like to smoke. Obviously, the manufacturers, they don't want this and they're doing whatever they can to. I don't think they can really eliminate it, but minimize it as best they can.
And I'm also thinking too, just on the other end of it, that's also why you all are seeing a lot of like limited releases of things versus actual core line extensions. Because if they only have X amount of tobacco to make certain things, because crops were damaged or whatnot, they can only make so many cigars, right? So, and that's how they become limited.
Yeah, that's true. And, another thing is, someone was talking to me, last week about Sumatra, and someone said like, oh yeah, there's a lot of Sumatra releases out, and then I was thinking about it. I said, yeah, and I was talking about some other people, and there's a lot of Sumatra tobacco around, and then there's a lot of other tobaccos that are very scarce right now. So one thing that I'll tell you for the future is I anticipate seeing a lot of Sumatra stuff in the next 2 years because that tobacco is available right now. So as the time goes on, you're going to be seeing people put out some Sumatra stuff because they can get their hands on it. It's fairly priced right now, and it's accessible. So I anticipate seeing maybe this window where you're going to see a lot of Sumatra stuff appear. It's going to be, oh, why is everyone doing Sumatra? The reason is because that's what people can get their hands on.
It's accessible.
And that's really it. I mean, it's because that's what they can get because Connecticut broadleaf is already difficult to get. Mexican San Andreas, you could be seeing getting a little bit tougher to get. Everyone's trying to get it. You have, with the pandemic of last year, or rather 2020, 2 years ago now, you have to remember when these factories shut down for, few months, it's not just people rolling in the factory. It's they didn't have farmhands.
Yeah.
No one was planting tobacco. No one was harvesting tobacco, aging it, let alone rolling it. So that's also where you're going to see these shortages come into play because there was a period in time when manufacturers, they weren't even growing tobacco or they weren't growing as much or they weren't harvesting. There was tobacco on the farms when the pandemic hit. Some of that was kind of left out in the open. There was no one to deal with it. Very, very, very few people did not shut down any part of their production, like the Perdomo family. During the pandemic, they never shut down. A lot of people did. So that's where you're going to see that finally kind of catch up. Be like, oh, we're missing inventory because back in 2020, we had nothing going on.
Will you see a whole, cigar company wiped out of stuff? Probably not. But certain lines.
Yeah, I wouldn't say to that extent.
Yeah, not to that extent. So don't worry about that when we talk about a shortage.
But there's specific things based on certain tobaccos that maybe were impacted where like certain brands will be like, oh, I can't get this line because there's a shortage, but they have a lot more of these because maybe they had more tobacco from this. So it's not like a company-wide thing, but you're going to see these spots where things are missing right now, and that's going to be what you see.
Yeah.
And really that's why. It's really nothing more. There's no mysterious or like, oh, they're struggling. No, it's really just, it's
Catch
simple. There's tobacco not available,
Yeah.
and they have to work with what they have. So that's kind of the gist of the forecast for the future, based on what manufacturers are telling me.
But there is a lot of new releases on the horizon as well, and that we're excited for. So
Yeah, I mean it's exciting. There's some cool stuff. I mean, like I said, there's some stuff that I've been told about that I can't say, and you guys are gonna love it. It's gonna be great.
this is going to be a great year for releases and extensions. There are some good extensions that we've heard through the grapevine.
One I think that I can say, in terms of like Placencia, I believe I can say this.
I hope so.
There's gonna be some additional sizes added to some of their brands.
Yeah.
I won't be any more specific than that, but
Just in case,
there's some certain popular lines that are gonna see some size extensions that I was told will most likely be shown at PCA in July.
Yep.
So keep an eye out for that too. It's exciting, and it's funny. There was more new debuts and stuff at this show than I expected there to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of other
sure.
media folks that I spoke to feel the same way. I was even talking to Coop about it. Coop's not here, but
he's in the comments.
he's got ears on the ground. Even he was like, I think there's more releases than I anticipated. And I was like, yeah, it's funny. You finally get here and you actually get into the booths. And I don't even know if it's by design. Maybe it's, manufacturers don't take anything until the show so that they maximize on that show appeal versus just trying to get it out online. Be like, oh, well, this is what you can see at the show. Like, no, we'll tell you when you get here. Because there was a lot of things that caught me by surprise. Like, oh, wow, I didn't realize you guys had all this going on because you've been quiet. So, which also, when you think about PCA, you're like, wow, if that's going on at TPE, and people are already mumbling, kind of like, hey, don't say anything. I think there's going to be more at PCA than I originally thought, too.
I just feel like for a lot of companies, too, it's also just hard to get new products out in Q1 for the year. And that's not even just in the cigar industry. I feel like that's in a lot of different industries as a whole. Releasing things in January, February, a lot of companies just don't.
Also, the other thing is too, Coop brought up a good point. Pricing. A lot of people are raising prices, and nobody ever wants to raise prices on cigars because the reality is, consumer sees, oh, the price went up. No matter who you are, if you buy any kind of product, you go into a store now, it's a little bit more expensive than it was last week. You're gonna be like, and like no one likes that. They don't want to do it, but the fact of the matter is, right now, it's not even just the inflation. It's kind of some of that other stuff we talked about before. Just their cost of operation is going up. And then there's like international shipping issues, which are beyond their control. There's nothing they can do about that. You have cargo ships sitting in the ocean for weeks waiting just to come into port to unload.
Those poor cigars.
And there's so many more ways we can dive into it. But yeah, I mean, you're going to see price increases as the tobacco gets more scarce. Not everyone grows tobacco. So the people who have it, who are selling it to people to use, that asking price goes up because there's more of a demand. Like, oh, you need Connecticut shade wrappers. From Ecuador. You need Connecticut broadleaf. I have it. And you desperately need it for that line that you have that's so popular. Well, guess what? The price just doubled because you need it. And I only have so much, but so yeah, there's so many different pieces to it.
And the companies that grow are in the better positions. Or the best positions, I should say.
I would say people like the Placencias, who they grow 100% of all their own tobacco.
Fuente, Perdomo.
The Perdomo family. If you're completely vertically integrated and you grow all of your own stuff, you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to rely on anybody for tobacco. So those are the people who are you're probably going to see less
of those price increases from
because
them.
They don't have anyone they got to buy it from, and they have less middlemen that they got to deal with.
Yeah, because they do it themselves.
So that's definitely another thing to keep an eye on too. What time are we at here? I think we're almost at the end.
Yeah, I think it's about time to wrap up.
Yeah,
folks.
this is definitely a shorter show.
Quickie.
This is more of this is a field reporting. And like I said, we're gonna do the same with Coop in a little while, and about
Actually, pretty soon.
Actually, yeah, in about a half an hour, we'll be live with Cigar Coop. So don't forget to go find us over there, and we'll talk about some more and maybe some different stuff with Coop. So
I'm sure his questions will be
the
little
thing
bit
with,
more involved.
Well, the thing with Coop is he's going to ask much more specific questions. I'm just trying to give a general overview, but Coop will have some more specific points he wants to hit, and we'll gladly answer that for him. So. As I said, don't forget to check that out. But I think that's going to do it from us from our hotel room.
David said, time to get a drink, y'all. David, you don't understand. Being on the show floor with that amount of smoke all day, all I need is water. I don't even need like alcohol. It's just, it's so dry. And then also if you're like walking around and smoking a cigar, I actually try not to smoke on the show floor because it's almost like being in a lounge smoking like 5 cigars back to back.
The only time I smoked today was at Drew Estate. We were there for over an hour. I mean, there's no booth that we spend more than 20 minutes at, if that.
Yeah.
We were at Drew Estate for over an hour, and that was the only time I smoked because they're like, here, have a cigar. And I'm like, well, we're going to be here, so I might as well. But other than that, it's pretty difficult to smoke while you're running around trying to do interviews.
Yeah.
Right now I'm like, I need to go take a nap after we're done with Coop, so I can prepare to go out later tonight because there's events and other stuff that we got to get to. So, it's, oh man, what a day.
It's tiring.
It's
a lot of running around.
And we still got one more day.
Yeah.
So
we got to be up bright and early tomorrow too.
Yeah. When we have to grab everything we didn't get the first 2 days, we have to now
this
make
is
sure
our
we
last
get.
chance now too, because that's the thing. And for those of you, again, I think we talked about this at PCA, which is we're not there to interrupt business. So if we see people at booths and they're doing business, we don't bother them. We just say, hey, we'll come back, whatever. But so the last day is really a cram day for everything we couldn't get. Because people were busy, which was great to see. So, and then Vince asked, is Coop on Facebook or YouTube?
Facebook.
He's on Facebook. So if you go to the Cigar Coop Facebook page, he goes live. Is it an hour? An hour from now? What time? It's the time.
Half hour.
8:30, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
William Cooper's actually texting me. See, this is Coop likes to use this term like peeling back the curtain. Let me peel back the curtain for you.
I wish we had our coins by us too, but that's okay. We got a special coin.
Oh, you know what? So Coop says we will put you on as soon as you wrap up. So as soon as we're done, go over to Cigar Coop.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump right in. I guess he was supposed to go on with Matt and Garrett from How About That Cigar, but they're a little bit They're running a little late, which is to be expected because I think they're running a little sluggish today.
Yeah.
Because we were partying with them last night. So and I think that. And I love those guys. I'm not beating them up, but they are older than us, so they can't really recover as quick as we can. I love you guys, really.
We do love you, Matt and Garrett.
I love you guys.
We're not calling you old by any means.
But Matt is 50 years old, so I don't think he can bounce back as quickly as we can. So I think they're running just a little bit more sluggish today than we are. Or they just got caught up like hanging out with like Nick Perdomo or something, and they're wrapped up in someone's world, and I've been there. You get there, you just gotta stay there and be like, all right, we're in it now. You don't walk away. We'll jump right on with Coop right away. I do have though. Hold on.
Oh, and while you're getting whatever you're getting, because you're attached to the headphones, so if you can. I have. Let's see. Scott mentioned the weather. Yeah, Boston, I believe, is getting a blizzard. So we may or may not get delayed.
We got them right here. Our friends at Drew Estate hooked us up with the Cigar Coop coins, so I do have those. Bang. It's awesome.
We'll post a photo, but yeah, these we are so lucky to have been given these Cigar Coop coins.
Who doesn't love Coop? It's funny.
Look at this.
Coop's not in town, but he keeps coming up
I don't know if it'll show.
Back up a little bit.
It won't. It's fine. We'll take photos.
One thing I want to say, because Coop's not on here to feel like he's being put on the spot and all that, so he's not here. But what's funny is like he comes up in conversation at every single booth or person we run into. So, oh yeah, Coop. He comes up in every single conversation, and it's nothing but like, man, Coop. And someone will tell like a funny story about him, and then it's like, man, I miss him. I wish he was here. And like everyone misses Coop. And I told him that, and he goes, yeah, I should have went. And
we're gonna guilt him more into making sure he doesn't miss out next year.
So next time Coop's like, I don't think I'm gonna make the trip. I'm gonna go Coop. Need I remind you?
Make it.
You're going to be like, oh, I regretted it. And everyone's going to be like, Coop, where are you? He's like a celebrity.
He is.
He is a celebrity.
He is a celebrity.
There's no one. How many other media people do you know have their own coin that Drew Estate
Drew
made for
Estate
them?
made him a coin.
Like Drew Estate
Like,
never made a
come
coin
on.
for us or Half Wheel. How about that cigar?
No one.
Dojo. I mean, they made cigars for Dojo. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Coop is
but
a
but like
legend.
no one has this collectible
Anyway,
legend.
legendary. All right.
And then Matt Booth, we had a little screen time with Matt yesterday.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't check out the interviews that are already up from yesterday, it is going to take a few hours to really upload all the content that we took today. So that'll come out tonight, but probably by the time you wake up tomorrow, boom, it'll be there on our YouTube page. So definitely check that out. But yesterday we got Dissident, we got United, we got Michael Herklotz yesterday, which is great.
Man of the year.
Man of the year for Smokin Tabacco.
Yep.
Yeah, we got quite a bit. So definitely check out on our YouTube page. If you go there, there is a playlist that says TPE 2022 coverage. Just check that. There's 7 videos right now.
Mickey Pegg.
Yep.
Tony Bellato from La Barba.
Yep.
We caught up with him. He will be coming on the show soon. I think that's Abe Flores from PTR.
Yep.
Abe Flores has had some really cool stuff.
Yep.
Make sure you check out that. We love Abe and everything he's doing with PTR.
Yep.
And then I think that's it for people. There's a lot more that will be going up.
Yeah.
So
today was our bigger day for video. So.
we
right.
we got a lot of content today.
A lot
So
more today.
that was cool. But
All
I think we're gonna run because we gotta
Yeah.
get on Cigar Coop because
So head on over there if you still want to chime in. But yeah, Cigar Coop Facebook page. Boom. All right.
boom.
All right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.